Are expected to top the agenda as this week's Southern African Development Community Summit to be held in Pretoria. The 37th Ordinary Summit of SADC Heads of State and Government will be preceded by the Council of Ministers meeting, which will review progress made in implementing a number of policies and decisions. Well, for more on this, we cross to my colleague Peter Ndoro, who's in Pretoria. Peter, what are the issues for the SADC community right now?
Francis, thanks very much indeed. Yeah, it's all happening here in Pretoria. As we've been saying, this SADC Summit actually started on the 10th of August. It's been running for a while already, and it started with junior officials, and it's been escalating as the weeks and days have gone by, and will culminate with the heads of state gathering starting from Friday. Today is the beginning of the Council of Ministers, and in many ways they really are the ones that are the custodians of policy and make things happen. The heads of state come and sign things off, but the Council of Ministers is where all the action happens and the big decisions are made. And there are a number of issues which we'll discuss, but one person who's been watching and observing the growth of SADC in particular is Ambassador Ben Mpoko, very well known in South Africa because he's been an ambassador in this country for a good 16 years, and he joins us now. Thank you very much indeed, Your Excellency, for joining us, and welcome to the program. You've seen a number of these SADC summits over the years, and I just want you to give me your impression of the progress that we've made, because I get a sense that we were much better at being frontline states. We were much better at being security oriented and making sure that Southern Africa is freed from colonial rule. But the journey since then has been much more difficult.
Yes, the road traveled so far has been, in terms of the liberation of the region, has been wonderful, because all 15 member countries live in the region which is free politically. But then we had to embark into the next challenge, which is the economic freedom, which means development, fight against poverty, fight against diseases and so forth. And that road is a bit more difficult only because we have traveled through periods of instability in the region. Development will never take place when you have instability. Secondly, we need to come together as a region and embark into those policies that will make us move forward, combat the unemployment. The 60% of the population of the region is under the age of 35 years, which means we have challenges to make sure the young people coming on stream, they find jobs, they find houses and so forth, they have adequate education. So we have reached a point to ask ourselves questions: are we doing the right thing up to now? And the decisions that we make when we meet, are we implementing them? Do we have the adequate and instruments to implement the policies that are being taken here? We are meeting among politicians, among diplomats, heads of state. What is the youth? Are they here? When we make policies toward infrastructure, because we need the adequate infrastructure for the investment to take place, we need investments to create jobs and so forth and so on. But the people who implement those policies are the private sector. Are we including them into those discussions? We are talking about the women, or the SADC countries have a policy to promote the young ladies, the young girls, and the women. Our education system, are we educating the people that we need to embark into to help us develop? We also have the issue of brain drain. Most of our brains are still overseas. Are we inviting them to come and join us so we can ask them to help with the development issues? So there are those issues that we need to embark upon, because when we are liberation movements, We traveled all over the world. We brought the people together. We worked together. So that's what the regional integration is all about, is trying to come together and face those issues as one, instead of each country trying to fight those issues.
So what is holding us back? It's quite clear you've articulated the challenges, you've articulated the problems, and I just wonder, how do we get from speaking about it to actually causing change? Because this isn't a new conversation that we're having.
Yes, you're right. But it takes leadership, but it takes especially commitment. We had to commit. And we had to police ourselves so that each country, when we go back, do we implement the decision that we made in Pretoria? If we don't, what is the penalty? There's no penalty. I don't want to call into a system policing each other, but I think we need to hold each other together, help each other, share experiences, and so forth and so on. And I think there is that kind of mechanism that is lacking today, that of bringing us together, holding us together so we can implement things together. We need to help each other. If someone is struggling, for instance, we say we're going to build infrastructure, but not everybody is the same level of development to invest adequately in infrastructure. So how can those who have the capacity help the ones that are lagging behind? So we need those kind of tools and mechanisms to pull each other together, just as we did with the liberation movements. When we have only to liberate South Africa, everybody got together. The South Africa needed to go to an exile, they will find home everywhere. So we need that kind of spirit to embark into sustainable economic development.
So what are the political leaders engaged with if they're supposed to be showing the kind of will that's required to sign off these things and to get these things happening? Because we talk about regional development, but at the moment it seems like, you know, everyone's on their own and doing the best they can. They show up to the meetings and they go back and they carry on individually.
No, we have made a lot of progress. For instance, in the area of peace and stability, we have made a lot of progress. When my own country was going through turmoil and so forth, the SADC came together to help the DRC to find its feet. You saw what happened in Madagascar. SADC came together and brought about peace and stability in Madagascar. Most recently, Lesotho. SADC got together, and so we're working together in those areas.
This is what we did well traditionally as the frontline states. It's the economic stuff that we seem to struggle with.
Yes, we need to translate their spirit of cooperation or togetherness into the economic development. And I think during this summit, those are the kind of issues are going to be addressed. How do we move together? We have a program called the macroeconomic convergence, which means that we need to find complementarity with other economies. We need to develop tools that will attract investment into the region.
Well, Ambassador, SADC has 27 protocols right now, which means we've talked and talked. We know what to do. We don't need to discuss anything further now. We just need to ask why, as leaders, are things not getting signed off and getting done?
Yeah, as I said, I think we need to bring in other actors outside the political structures. We need to bring in private sector to accompany us. We need to bring the youth so that we can listen to them. We need to bring more women so we can. That's what. And then I think we're embarking into that today, to bring the private sector, the youth, and not only the African private sector, the international private sector.
I put it to you: you already know what the youth want. You already know what the women want. Again, it's down to those people who make decisions and make things happen, who are choosing not to get these things done. There are no mysteries left on the continent of what needs to be done. The mystery is getting it done.
Definitely, and to get it done, we need to not only listen to them, but we need to include them in the decision-making process. we need to include them in implementation strategy so they are part of the implementation. But if we just listen to them and then we say we're going to implement this on your behalf, maybe that's not the way to go. It's important to bring them in.
All right, so, and I asked this question a little bit earlier to Minister Maite Nkwale Mashabane. I'm a citizen in Lubumbashi, in Kinshasa, I'm a citizen in Lusaka, I'm a citizen in Lilongwe, I'm a citizen in Harare, I'm a citizen in Johannesburg. And I'm going to ask you, what benefit is there for me that we have this thing called SADC?
No, I don't think everybody, it's important from the media viewpoint, from publicity viewpoint, for everybody to have heard about SADC. That's not the most important thing. The most important thing is how is that citizen of Lilongwe, how is he going to be impacted by the decision made by SADC? It's the impact of our decision that needs to be felt. Even if they know that SADC exists, I don't think that's the most important thing. It's the impact.
So what impact is it having on citizens at the moment?
Well, for instance, peace and stability. That's a major impact. People who were going through turmoil, through the war, now they have peace. That's a positive impact. Now we're talking about promoting trade. That means people can move around. You can go from Lilongwe, come to Harare, come to Johannesburg to trade, for vacation, or his children to study. That's a positive impact. That the movement of goods and services and people within the region, which is happening. But you cannot do that if you have a peace and stability. So there are some impact being felt, but I agree with you, it's not enough. We need to do more of that.
All right, so what happens? We're having a lot of elections taking place, and people are feeling that the election processes are not always as transparent as they need to be, that the governments in charge are not behaving as they should, human rights abuses and so on and so forth. If we can't look to SADC member states to help us in these countries where these issues are playing out, where do citizens go?
No, SADC has helped. They have a very positive impact in my own country. They're positive, as I said, in Madagascar, in Lesotho, and so forth. SADC has even gone outside the region to help when they have a turmoil in Ivory Coast, when they were probably in Burundi, in Sudan. SADC countries have gone to help other countries as a nation. All I'm saying is that we need to do more of the same thing.
All right. Very finally and briefly, what would you like to come out of this 37th SADC summit?
Well, we are still embarking into the integration process. We still have challenges in terms of building the basic infrastructure, the telecommunication infrastructure, and so forth. We need to trade more among SADC, and those issues are going to be discussed during the course of this week, and I hope that we will come up with some answers that we can implement once we go back to our respective countries.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Ambassador, and we look forward perhaps to more chats as this summit unfolds. Thank you so much for your thoughts and insights today.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so there you have it. That's the Dean of Ambassadors here in South Africa, the longest serving ambassador from the DRC here in this country, talking to us about critical issues of getting things done, implementing, and making sure that the right voices are at gatherings such as this. And this time, critically, the youth and women should have a greater voice in guiding the kinds of conversations that are taking place at SADC 37 taking place here in Pretoria. Francis?
Peter Ndoro live from Pretoria, and he'll continue with that event. We'll bring you hopefully some of those practical measures to come out of the SADC summit to deal with the issues for the Southern African region. Stay with us. We take a short break.